How we doing, folks? My guest today is going to be Mikael Kingsbury. Mikael is arguably one of the greatest skiers of all time. He's won 65 World Cups and counting. He's also won 4 gold medals at World Championships. He's a 9-time World Cup overall champion. He was the 2014 Olympic silver medalist and the 2018 Olympic gold medalist in Pyeongchang. In this episode, we go through and discuss what has driven Kingsbury so far and what he does to separate himself from the competition. We also go through and touch on some of his setbacks and how he's had to deal with his recent comeback and back injury. I hope you folks enjoy what has driven Mikael to succeed so far. Also, In the Arena is donating $250 on Mikael's behalf to Breakfast Club of Canada. The Breakfast Club of Canada provides breakfasts for Canadian school children all across the country. I hope you folks enjoy, and please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Perfect. We are rolling. The King is back. The King is back.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for taking the time, my man. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm a fan. I mean, I've been watching and listening to those podcasts, a few of the mogul skier I compete with that you receive. And yeah, when I remember when I injured myself going back to the airport, I was listening to you and Zemba doing like your prediction of Ruka. I was like, oh shit, I'm heading back home. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, we really blew a lot of those predictions kind of early on when we were coming up with it. But
yeah, sorry, but you guys been pretty good so far.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, well, first and foremost, I got to say, like, out of all the guests I've had on, you by far have the best background. I mean, all those globes back there and everything else, that looks that's pretty legit. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
So how does it feel coming back from that injury? Because I mean, for most of your career, you've been fairly as healthy as a skier can be. I mean, you're always going to have bumps and bruises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was kind of your first real major setback. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough at the beginning. For sure, it's never fun to crash. Just to put everyone in context, I was training in Ruka. It's first day the course was built. Training in the afternoon, and I was going to do my first back full, which is a routine for me. And just with the type of snow, with the machine snow, and it was super icy, just went too big. I mean, I did one back lay before that and went limit, and then when I went back up, I just went a bit bigger on the full, and I landed on the first kind of turn, my tips on it, and I punch front. And when you punch front, but you don't flip too fast, so you just accelerate, and then add to protect my head to not scorpion or anything. So my back took all the impact, and fractured 2 places in my back on my spine. And it was kind of rough for me. The first time in like 10 years, I was at a venue and I wasn't fit to compete, and it's tough. The bus ride back to the airport in Kusamo, knowing that, when I left and, riding right in front of the course, like all the banners were there, everything was ready for the World Cup, and I couldn't compete. But I learned a lot. I mean, I got back home. The goal for me was just to get healthy as fast as I can, to be back in the start gate. The doctor, he told me it would take about 6 weeks to heal. And then after that, you can do rehab and start skiing and see where you're at. Some people it can take longer, some people it's short. So watching Ruka and Idre on TV was a good learning experience, because it was the first time since Vancouver Olympic that I was watching the best skiers in the world competing without me being part of the show,
Right.
So I was trying to tell myself, like, what would I do if I was like there going last or going like before Ben or before Ikuma, or I was trying to put myself in some scenarios in my head. But yeah, it was kind of rough at the beginning, but it was also super motivating knowing that it was a new challenge for me. Never had those kind of challenge where I had to come back and being the guy that chase people, because you come back after 3 events with 0 points, and usually make a bit more points than that. So yeah, it was a good learning experience, and definitely I think I'm a better athlete because of that. I mean, it's just been 2 months, but the journey of coming back was, you know, short for, I mean, I have so much respect for the people that blow their knee and they have like to take 1 or 2 years off. For me, it was short, but learned a lot, and I'm glad I'm back pretty much 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going through all that stuff. It's really interesting to hear you say, just going through, getting those different visualizations and scenarios of kind of being up in there and at Ruka and everything else. I mean, for me, that's kind of just a little bit surprising to hear, because someone that's been there before for so long and dominated forever, that mindset of like, hey, this is what the scenarios will be. This is kind of what I'm thinking about with those courses. I mean, it's super interesting to hear, because I feel like once you've been there, done that. I mean, how many times have you won Ruka?
Yeah. I mean, it's like my favorite course. So every year I feel I set the tone, I set the momentum for the season, because it's probably like, I love a lot of course, but this one I feel fits my skiing, fits the speed that I want to go. Just the pitch is so consistent, and the way I stand in my boots, I feel like it matches. So and I mean, my first podium was there. So many great memories. So every time I compete, there's the first one of the year, you know, everyone is, you know, arrives and they are ready, and some people are more nervous than others. And it was just, for me, one that I didn't want to miss. But you know, it's part of the game when you sign up for mogul skiing,
right? You
know, it's part of it. And there's people that had 10 times worse than I had. It's just a bum in the road for me. I see it like, it was like a new challenge, and I'm glad I'm glad I went through it now. I mean, it was not fun, but I'm glad I went through it, because that's something that I didn't have, not in my resume, but that's something, you know, I love to learn, and this was one thing that I never experienced, and it was short and sweet, but you know, learned a lot.
That's the best way to do it with those injuries. Keep them short and sweet.
Yeah.
So one of those things that you just touched on is loving to learn. So, I mean, what were some of those kind of takeaways from that injury? And has that always been something like kind of coming into mogul skiing and coming into some of your passions? I mean, kind of gaining that understanding and really loving to learn and getting the most like out of the sport. Is that what you think kind of has helped you along your journey so far?
Yeah, 100%. I love mogul skiing just because I feel there's kind of no perfection. There's always going to be a thing, you know. I love watching videos. I mean, I watch so much videos. It's crazy. Like, I have all the old runs from the 2000s, and I mean, we're in a sport where there's always a detail to learn. And even today, I mean, I've won many Crystal Globe. I've been ranked first in the world for 9 years in a row, but every year I feel I'm getting better, and I'm learning. And the Mikael Kingsbury in 2011, who won 2 World Cup, I mean, I'm so much better than I used to be. And like, that guy today, since the sport is progressing, probably wouldn't even make top 16 this year, you know. It's part of the evolution, and that's why I love our sport. Is, I mean, I'm learning every time I put my skis on, and that's something that that's part of my philosophy. Every time I go skiing, I want to be better than I was yesterday, and I want to be better the day after. So with that, I learned a lot more about myself than mogul skiing in general. And what I'm happy with what I've done is I took my time, even though I came back in a very short period of time.
Right.
I focused on doing one step at a time, and I wrote on a piece of paper all the things that I wanted to do until I was in the start gate in Deer Valley or Calgary. I didn't know at that time what was the World Cup that I was going to compete in. And like, the first thing was skiing bumps, and the second thing was like, okay, 20%, 30%, and then doing backpacks. And every day the goal was to check one thing. And by the end, the last one I wrote is win a World Cup. And it's cool because I've done all those one, and then I had the last one. And when I came back home, I had my piece of paper, and it just whoop, done. So I mean, I took my time, and I went one step at a time. And usually in January, with all the season that I had in the past, it's like business, you know. I go to a training camp, and it's like top to bottoms, and you know, top to bottoms, working on speed and working on, you know, aspect that is going to make me, you know, perform at the next event. And there I wasn't working towards performance. I was working towards getting back to all the feels and the rhythm and
Mhm.
everything about the sport. And it's crazy. There was one day I pushed. It was in Calgary, the last day before we left for Calgary, but all before we left for Deer Valley. But all the other days, I was just doing flats and doing like back tucks and
Mhm.
back lays and repetition of back fulls, and just, making sure my back was okay, making sure that I get all the feelings back. And I was not rushed to push. And I was like, I'm gonna be okay.
Mhm.
When it's gonna be the 3-2-1 go of my qualities run,
Yep.
this is where I'm gonna, put the 6th gear on.
Right. Be fully ready. Now, for you, like as you were talking about before, with some of that training, do you go through, and when you're doing your different training blocks and stuff like that, is there, how do you kind of attack that? Is it specifically like, all right, today for the next 3-day block, all I'm concerned on is building on just working on my speed, or this is going to be a total jumping block, I'm just working on like, do you go through and have that stuff pretty specifically set out with your coaches and everything of like, okay, this is the schedule of the month, let's break down January, or if it's in the fall, obviously before World Cup season, this block is going to be dedicated to doing flats?
Yeah, no, exactly. We sat down with my mental trainer and my coaches and my trainers at the gym, and we went down also for the stuff at the gym that I needed to work on. And like, they were not going to put a bar on my shoulders right away when I was more fit. The first thing we said is like, we need to check the flat and, do enough flat so I can, get back into my boots and see how my back reacts with like more torsion and slowing down and just feeling the snow. Second one was just getting back into the moguls, going slow and just getting back to have a nice touch, and kind of continue working what we were working before Ruka, but just like very small details about my hips and, how I can have a good ski line and ski control and slowing down. And kind of like the first block was skiing and pushing a bit more. Then we went more to jumping, but it was one thing at a time. The first day I just did, my first day jumping was probably day 5 of being back on my skis, and I just did foot cross.
Okay.
Day 2, I just did back tucks and back lays. Day 3, I just did back full and a few sevens. Then we stopped there. Then we went back a bit more skiing and kind of like exits and entrance. And then we start pulling the tricks together with section. And then after that, we went to Calgary, did a few more IDD days, but just, hiking. And then last day I put it together. And then I went to compete. So it was like different approach. And usually in the past, I've been a volume guy. Like, I built my confidence by doing like 8 double full 10 top to bottom in a row,
Gotcha. Yeah.
And now it was like, okay, like I got to use my experience. I've done it in the past, and this is how I got ready to come back. And the fact I was super relaxed about going to Deer Valley because I had so much time and I wasn't burned for my training. So it was kind of like a perfect approach for where I was at.
And how did that approach, you said, you just touched on how much, you used to be, or before you were hurt, right? A lot of volume. Like, how much do you think that different kind of approach will help you, like, going forward? Like, hey, I'm the king. I know what I need to do. I don't need the constant volume. Like, do you think that'll help kind of in the future as you start to get a little bit older and things of that nature?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, as I'm getting older, I want to keep skiing, and it's different than when I was 20 years old. Like I didn't need even 1 coffee a day, and I had full energy, and I wasn't like, I was never tired. And now I think it's important that I'm getting older. It's, I can get injured easily. Like it's easier for me to get injured, and I'm starting taking very better care of my body, of what I eat, of how I sleep, and I think those things now are important. And with all of that, I realized that I don't need that much volume. I mean, as long as I'm ready, and it's good because it takes some volumes to get to the level where we're at in World Cup, but I've put so much volume when I was growing up that now I can not rely on that, but I have the experience to know I don't need that many volume. Like I need just this and this. And for me, I learned that I arrived fresh in Deer Valley. That was probably a good thing because, you know, you're in for 2 big days if you end up in super final, and then the next day you end up 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a lot of skiing, and it's high in altitude, and it's rough on the body and the emotion and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for me, that's something that I'm gonna try to use more in the future. Now I'm going to train in Val Saint Côme very soon, and for me, this is a good thing that I want to continue on, is not do as many volume and just, you know, be a bit more smart, you know, do more quality than quantity. And I think like that, I'll be able to ski in my 30s and, you know, still being able to be on the podium or get a few wins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it makes a ton of sense. For when you're younger though, and so for some of the younger listeners and stuff like that out there, or coaches that are listening, I mean, do you think it's really important to get a lot of volume when you're younger to really try to just help with your reps? Say if you're starting out 9, 10 years old, kind of getting into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you think the volume of water ramping or flats on snow and things of that nature, do you think that's kind of important?
Yes and no. I mean, for me, as I wanted to do that, you know, it needs to come from you.
Right.
You know, I've never been someone that, you know, my dad or my mom or my coaches had to push me to do like volume or go to the water ramp. I mean, I wanted to do it like most of the time. And even a few years back, my coaches, sometimes they have to pull me off of the ramp or the tramp or the hill, because they're like, okay, you've done enough. For me, it always came naturally. Like I wanted to do it. I think it's important because the more you do, the more you're orientated in space, the more you know how to do it. But there's good and bad about, you know, doing a lot. The bad is you can create bad habits by doing too many repetition of bad stuff. You can get injured easily. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's a good balance of everything. I mean, I wanted to do that. I had a round trampoline in my backyard, and I was coming back from school, and I was, you know, putting some music outside, and I was trying to like do like my idols were doing. I mean, I was putting like a song that Yanni won a World Cup on, and I was just doing like my Cork 7 and or whatever, you know. I've just been super passionate, and then I was like on the tram but skiing in my head. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like to do a lot. But I mean, for all the kids out there, it needs to come from you, and you need to listen to your body. Even if you're 10 years old, if you feel tired and your coach is like, oh, try a 1080, but you've done 20 run and it's like your first one ever, I mean, don't do it. I mean, it has to come from you.
And where was that passion for you, like kind of starting out? What is it that kind of got you into mogul skiing, get you into the jumping? Because you've always been a phenomenal jumper, and the skiing. I mean, there's always rumors. Like I remember, you know, when we were still, I don't know, it's probably like 2010 or whatever. You know, you were coming on. I was like, oh yeah, well, he had a water ramp in his backyard or something, like, you know, it's just like crazy rumors about Kingsbury. Like, really, he had a water ramp? That's pretty wild.
No, I did not have a water ramp. Just a round black trampoline. Well, when I started skiing like most of the kids. I mean, I started at around 4 years old. My mom comes from a skiing family, and I just started from there. I was the kind of kid that what they were telling me and on the videos that I'm small, I was always like, you know, on the side of the slope doing the, you know, little jump from the woods. And my mom always told me that I had like a natural way to jump. Like if I was jumping on a diving board, like she could see like the way I was approaching with the speed and popping, it was like properly already like naturally for me. And my neighbors were doing mogul skiing. And my brother was doing some alpine like racing. I didn't know which one I wanted to do, but I was always seeing the mogul guys having so much fun, and this is what I wanted to do. I was 8 years old, and there was like a fun competition in Mont Saint Sauveur where I grew up, and my parents they put my name in. I was 8, and I did my first competition without even, you know, proper training. And the year after, I joined the club. It was just for fun until I went to my first World Cup in Mont Tremblant, and I saw Yanni, Johnny Mosley, and all the top dogs at the time. And this is where kind of the passion kind of grew and start to know who the best skiers are. And I remember talking with Alex Bilodeau, because when I was 8, he was 13, and he was on his last year with the Mont Saint-Sauveur club, and he was like, yeah, you should start doing water ramp. So he was like, yeah, you have to come in the summer. It's in Lake Placid. It's only 3-hour drive from home. So that summer I went there, did like my first front flip, and just from there, everything kind of grow. And when I was 10, I watched my first Olympic on TV. It was 2002 Olympics. And seeing the guys on TV there was just, this is where everything started. I mean, the guys looked so fast with the camera from the side. And I was like, one day I want to have a kid looking at me and say, oh, I want to be like this guy. And I print I know it's people talked a lot about that before the games, because they made like pieces with CBC Sport here in Canada about that. But after that, I print on a piece of paper the Olympic rings, and I wrote, I will win, and I put it over my bed. And from that day, that was like what was driving me every morning before going to school. I knew inside of me that I would one day make it at least to the Olympics and then World Cup, but then it exceeded my expectation for sure.
Right. No, it's super cool to hear that, and to just think, because I mean, I remember I was at 2002 watching at the bottom, Bloom and all those guys ski, and it's
you were live there.
Yeah. We were
crazy.
So it was pretty cool watching Johnny Mosley and the whole thing. It's funny how those stories kind of start, because it starts out at I mean, obviously I'm older than you, but mine was like 98 when Mosley won gold. I just followed my dad into the bumps, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. Like, this is a fun thing to try and do. And then led into Peter Judge and Freestyle International, and kind of going through. That was the first camp I ever went to, and it just one thing kind of led into the next. And it's one of the things I absolutely love about the sport is just the fact of how close you can be as like a younger kid or a younger fan or something like that to someone that is just, the greatest of all, you're the Michael Jordan of our sport, and you are very easily accessible, where in a lot of other sports, that's really hard to, I mean,
And for me, like saying that, when I was a kid, it was Jean-Luc Brassard back home here in Quebec. That was like the legend in our sport. And it's nice because he was so accessible. Like I was 10 or 12, 13, and I think he knew my name, and I had the chance to see him like a few times a year. And when he was coming for spring skiing in Mont Saint-Sauveur, I could ski I was like 6, 7, 8 with like one of the best mogul skier in the world. So it's because of a guy like him, and then Bilodeau, and then they kind of opened the way for me and the other Canadians with what they've done. And it's cool to have the chance in our sports. I mean, if you look at hockey, it's back in Quebec, it's huge.
Right.
It's not every day you're gonna have the chance to meet Sidney Crosby and have a chance to have a skate with him or whatever, And in skiing, like, I mean, every spring time I go and ski with kids in Mont Saint-Sauveur, and they not because Jean-Luc did that for me, but it's fun to give back. And it's I mean, for me, it inspired me so much, and it was so cool to have the chance to ski with him and Alex. Like I was 13 and I could ski with like the guy that was just 18 that won a few World Cups, and the ex-legend. And there's some stuff that I will remember forever.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is one of the very cool things about the sport that those are summer camps and stuff you can go to, and it just makes it, Jean-Luc's, absolutely one of the legends. I have that, we'll have to compare videos, because I got a whole base, boxes full of VHS tapes of old mogul videos we can go through and compare some notes and stuff like that. So really nerd out.
It's funny though. So some of the video you posted on your Instagram, I have the exact angle of camera that you posted. But did you get that thing from the French team?
So some of it is left over from like Ski to Bosses back at
skidboss.com. Yeah.
Ski to Bosses was still like a thing. So yeah, some of those videos are on there, and some are just So it's pretty that website was awesome.
Yeah, that was wicked.
Starting out, you could get they video every run. They throw in a few crashes or a few bonus runs and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it was always.
I went so much on that website when I was a kid that even today, if you tell me about from 03 till 06, every podium run, I can know the song that was playing on.
You know all the songs. That's legit.
I think so. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I do not know all the songs. I remember there's a few that definitely stick out in my mind, a couple of the classics. And it's always fun because you get to go see one like at Deer Valley every year. You get the opportunity to go watch, so you could get to see that. And what was the closest one for is Tremblant the closest?
Tremblant, and then Tremblant and Mont Gabriel. Yeah, because Saint-Côme, I've been part of all of these World Cup. Mont Gabriel, I've far run there, and I've seen a few World Cups. And then Tremblant also, yeah.
Were you there at Gabriel the year 2009 when the NORAM, when it was like negative 44?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember how that was by far the coldest event I've ever skied at? And they let all the World Cup skiers compete at it too. So it was like a NORAM that had like 105 like guys in it.
Oh yeah, I remember. And I was going like 86th in the gate. So you have like 2-hour break before you run. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it was very cold. And I remember maybe the mountain almost being closed, and it was just open for the skier.
Yeah, it was the only lift that was spinning on the East Coast, because all the mountains in the East Coast were closed because the whole was literally that lift. Yeah, I remember that. But it was no wind, no wind chill. It was like crystal clear out and just insanely cold.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I have because my mom was like the not the starter, but the flag or whatever back in the days. When they used to do the drop-in thing. Yeah. It's good memories because it was fun that year. Even that year, I think we competed in Killington. In 09, and I did my first NORAM podium there. But it was just so cool because Bloom, Babic, and there was a few Japanese that were skiing. And then we went to Mont Gabriel. And this is where that NORAM was like a World Cup, like the Swedish guy was skiing, and the Norwegians, a few French people. Right. Yeah, I remember that race being very strong. And there was a 2 single event.
Right. Yeah.
The first day, pretty much that was like the big one. The second day, most of the top guys didn't do it. I remember I made final the second day. That was probably because the best guy were not doing it, but anyway.
I'm pretty sure I was like 60th both days. So yeah, that sounds.
Oh, okay. We were like 100 guys anyway. It was a big field. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Good memories.
Yeah, good memories for sure. So kind of getting a little bit speaking to. I mean, one of the things as right here that is amazing to me is the memory and how much you go through, and the passion that really comes through to me, and how much you love the sport. I mean, you talk about being able to memorize all the songs of, the podium World Cup runs from 2003 to 2006 because of how much you went through and really just love the sport. I mean, do you feel like that's one of those things that differentiated you from other, some of those other competitors and stuff like that? I mean, because a lot of people are passionate about it, but it's
not at my level.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, maybe it's growing up and still today, it's different today, but it's like an obsession, I would say. Like I love the sport and I love every aspect of it. And when I, going back when I was a kid, sometime I would ski with my dad or my coaches, and we were like, okay, this run I gotta ski like Jan, and this run I need to ski like Cabral. And I was trying to, when I was jumping, also to do like them, like trying to do the 720 like Travis Mayer with one arm up, and I was like trying to, do like my idols were doing. And I remember I was saying like, one day I want to, have the upper body of Dell, the ski line of Yanné, the jumps of Alex, mixed with the smoothness of Bloom. And I was like, this is going to create Kingsbury at his best. And I think it helped me a lot because I liked it, and no one forced me. And even still today, like I'm gonna go and compete in Kazakhstan, and I'm gonna go look at all the previous time we've competed there, and gonna go watch my favorite runs. I still do that. You know, I go to bed earlier. I have my MacBook, and then I watch my favorite runs, not from me, or from my idols, and I try to, you know, pump myself up. And yeah, it's been part of who I am. You know, a lot of people that grew up with me skiing, they all know that Mick knows every run, knows every athlete that went through the sport, knows pretty much all the scores, the time. Yeah, I was just like, I was like the little Wikipedia of mogul skiing when I was 14, 15, 16. And yeah, it's quite special. And after that, when I did my first few World Cups, and back in the days, they used to do the showcase, and I was doing like the showcase, and there was like Mikko Rankanen next to me, Gilbo, Dell, and then Jesper, and I was like, holy shit, you know, I made it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What would be like the top runs then? What are like some of your favorite?
My favorite of all time?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a good question. I really, really like Madonna Yane 04 first day. With this song Jump, Cork 7 quad twister. Yeah. No mistake in the middle. I think he scored like 5-0, 5-0, 5-0 in turns. And at a like 28 point something score. But yeah, that was that run is like up there. I remember my first time, but in 2011 in Calgary, I qualified for the first time first, so I was going last, and I asked the DJ if he could put me jump from Van Allen like Yane that run, and he did it, and I won my first, you know, gold on Omsold, and that was amazing when I was 18. So yeah, I think Yane, that run is a big one for sure. Calgary Dell was a run that I was there live, but like that video, I watched it so many times. It's a great run, and I was there at the top because just a little parenthèse, we say in French, that was my first World Cup in 2010, in 2010, sorry, and I did very bad my first two World Cups, and the second day, instead of like going back to the hotel crying or whatever, I decided to watch the event from the top. So I was like, I have a bib for the first time. I can go and watch the show from the bottom, but I'm gonna go learn how the best they prepare. Because I was like, I can ski that course. Like my training was going well, but when I competed, the fact that it was the first time with the cameras and you know, the hype of a World Cup, I just pushed way too hard for no reason, you know? So instead of go and watch the World Cup from the bottom, I was like, I have a bib on, I have a pass, I can go to the top, and I can basically go sit next to Dell, Alex, and see how they warm up and how they prepared and how they push out of the gate, and see how different they do from me. And this was a big like switch in my career. I remember watching, there's always a little TV at the top in World Cups, and I was looking at Dell. He was watching carefully the people that were skiing in his line and see where the guys were pushing. And I saw him like adjust his strategy after Alex did a nice run with double floor and backflip. And I just saw in his face, he was like, okay, I need to push now, and I need to go bigger. And, you know, and just this for me, like changed my perspective of competition. Before I used to just listen to my music and go and do my own thing. And I realized like a guy like Dale and Alex, they do it differently, but they were more cautious of what was happening during the race, and the way they would warm up and clip their skis and talking with their coaches. I was happy I witnessed all of that. I didn't see his run like live from the bottom because I was at the top, but seeing that perspective of him getting ready to do one of the best run of all time, I'm glad I was at the top, and I learned a lot, because after that, when I went back to NORAM, I started dominating for the first time in my career. You know, I totally changed the way I was approaching a race, and for me, that was like one of the biggest game changer in my career.
Right, light bulb kind of going off, seeing the different routines and mentalities for sure. Yeah, no, that's super interesting. I've definitely never thought of, you know, when you're done, you're always at the bottom watching other
Yeah,
teammates and everything else, kind of cheering them on for fun, you know, after your
yeah,
finals
yeah,
run, you're
absolutely.
like, all right, like, let's go, boys. But that's definitely an interesting perspective for sure, and a good way to kind of get some insight. And what would you say are a few other like habits that you do kind of daily that help you, you know, get that edge? Are you a note taker? Do you like
Yeah.
plan out your week in advance, or how do you kind of break a lot of those things down?
I should have brought it. I have a book in my bag downstairs, a red book that I keep with me, and I draw every course, every
Okay.
World Cup we go at. So
Are you a good
kind of
artist?
like, yeah, I can draw some stuff.
Okay.
Well,
All
yeah,
right.
not
You can
really.
do a
Yeah,
mogul course. You can draw a mogul course.
yeah, I draw a mogul, but I draw a mogul course from the perspective from the bottom on one
Okay.
side,
Yeah.
and I draw it on the artist, like my vision. But it's just like lines. It's not
Mhm.
like a very nice drawing, you know.
Right.
It's
Right.
just for
Yeah.
me to know the alignment, and I write like I detail like, okay, what is the alignment on the top air, and
Hmm.
what should I be thinking about when I'm skiing, and just trying to break down the course in pieces. And
Hmm.
this is what I do since a long time.
Hmm.
I mean, it helps me when I do my training. Usually, first day of training, if I know that's the line I'm gonna ski, I'm gonna draw it, and then I'm gonna write the stuff
Hmm.
for day two, and then I adjust what I need to change. And it just helps me after skiing to have another like visualization.
Hmm.
And it always takes me, it's not like a 5 minute thing, you know. I sit down for a good half hour and I draw it, and I put music on, and I think about, you know, the
Hmm.
course and what should I do, where's the drift,
Right.
and then I go and sit down with my coaches. I watch my video, take times on my rivals,
Hmm.
see like the split time too, from the start to the first jump, where I'm
Hmm.
situated compared to the other guys,
Hmm.
mid splits. Yeah, and I just take those little thing, and then after that, sorry, it kind
No.
of
No, you're
bugged.
good.
And then after that, I kind of put mogul skiing outside of my head.
Hmm.
Spend time, play cards with my teammates, call my family on FaceTime,
Hmm.
girlfriend, and try to go back to normal.
Hmm.
And yeah, sleep. After that, when I go to sleep, I don't think too much about skiing. I mean, I have my period of time, and
Hmm.
so yeah, those are kind of like my ritual. And I wake up in the morning, and I'm fired up. I'm ready. I mean, I think I've prepared so well that when I
Yeah.
show up for qualies, I'm not overthinking. Like, I know what to do, and
Right.
it's just it's not like I'm gonna go copy paste what I've done, but
Yeah.
it's super simple. And I try to put my focus super narrow on one or two things that I need to focus on,
Right.
not focusing on starting the day and be like, I want to win qualies. I mean, it's stupid to start thinking like, I start my day and I want to win the qualification. I mean, it's just they take 16 guy and they put it again
Yeah.
back
Sure.
to zero. So for me, it's just to do the job first run, then do the second run. And I have a good enough run to be in the top six, learn from that run,
Hmm.
because you're going pretty fast after, and correct what you need to correct.
Hmm.
Go bigger if you need to go bigger. Listen carefully to what the times are from my competitors, and stick to your plan. Don't try to win also the last one. Just do the best you can do.
Right.
And then it releases so much pressure. And then when I cross the line, sometimes I'm like, holy shit, okay, that's going to be hard to beat. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I left some space on the table for the guy that are going last. And that's how those are the way I handle
Hmm.
competition.
Yeah. No, super. That's interesting. Yeah. And I mean, it's always good to know kind of where those tricky sections are, right? If you got a quick section coming out of the top air, you got to go a little bit
Yeah.
left, and kind of knowing those entrances, exits. And then at the end of the day, it
Yeah.
is just going top to bottom. Just got to go top to bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I mean, for me, when I draw the course, and this, I know I know the section is quick. It's just for me, I guess I'm visual, and when I put it together, and just like, it's kind of like a reminder, and it
Hmm.
makes that when I'm skiing, I'm not overthinking. It's just
Hmm.
like, I've studied the course enough that I
Sure.
don't need to like think. And it's just like, it can be just like reaction and being in the present moment, instead
Yeah.
of being like thinking too far ahead or thinking too far back, you know?
Mhm. Sure. So and then you just kind of cut it off and go about, you kind of have your breakdown time of visualization, and then it's just hanging out with friends and doing that stuff, relaxing. And then, so in the summertime when you're going through, is how do you kind of balance the training and kind of the downtime of just kind of living your life? I mean, do you guys break down camps, or is it 5 days a week you guys kind of go? How do you break down your scheduling there?
Yeah, usually I get a good sit down with my coaches and we do a debrief about the season and what's coming next and what are the goals. Obviously the goals are similar every year. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's very, very important to live a healthy balance.
Yeah.
Like I cannot, like, I love my sport. I can train every day, but I mean, it's important to have a good balance. I like my life in the summertime as a normal guy that sees his friends and do whatever that's not skiing really related. That for me is important. And for me, I'm motivated when I travel again with the team, or I go to a training camp, or we do water ramp, because I take those good breaks. And when I'm back at it, I'm like, I'm there to work, you know, I know where I'm going and it's business. But yeah, in the summer, I break down my camps like that. It's always nice for me to have at least a good always in between camps 2 or 3 weeks off. I train every day. Like I have my own gym and I'll do something in the morning, and I love working out. If I don't do it, I kind of don't feel and it's nice for my energy during the day. But I like to have some good time off where I can train in the morning, and then the afternoon is kind of off for me. Like I can go, if I want to go golf, I can go golf, or if I have to spend time with my family, I spend time with my family, and I can see my friend, do a little traveling in there. But for me, it's nice to split up, and to split up also what I'm going to be working out and trying to do a nice build up until Ruka. So like
big
kind of like the exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, what kind of helps you stay focused and you know, not burn out? Because as you talked about, having those breaks and everything else are kind of nice. I mean, have you run into those issues? I mean, you got all those globes there behind you. I mean, does it ever, it's lonely at the mountaintop. So, I mean, are there times where you know, because burnout happens for everybody, and sometimes it can be hard to stay focused and keep your eye on the prize. I mean, I'm sure you seem to have quite the routine down where it's not too much of an issue for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a good setup at home, so my life is not like boring, or I don't get burnt out. I mean, there's some time I've been a bit more tired, but that comes with the success that I had. I don't know if we can say it's like after the Olympics, I was burned because I had no days off. Like the days off I had to be in Toronto for an event there, and then back to Montreal, then this there, and then I felt I didn't have much time for me. But yeah, I mean, I don't need people to motivate me. I think all the motivation I have it inside of me. I don't need more. I know where I'm going. You know, these things are very hard to get. I mean, we all know what it takes to win a Crystal Globe. I mean, it's not easy. You have to be consistent. The competition is super hard, but I'm not taking one for granted. They all have a special story behind them, and I think as long as I have the passion, I don't think I'm gonna be burnt out, because I realized that over the course of the year, but I take my decisions. I mean, if I don't want to go train, I don't need to go train. I mean, I feel it has to come from me. I mean, the coaches are not there to tell you what to do. They're there to help you and to help you take smart decisions. And they are there to give you precise advice. But I feel like right now, that's the reason why I never got burnt out, is I took my own decision and my own choice, and I've sat down. And I think when it comes to that, the communication with your coaches or the people that are taking care of you is very important. And it's probably one of the reasons every year when I show up to Ruka, usually I'm top shape, I'm ready to go, I'm motivated, and I mean, again, it's all in the balance in your life. I mean, I love skiing, and I love my family and my friends, so I keep a good balance, and makes me happy.
Yeah, no, that's good. That balance is definitely key for sure. You got to be able to figure out ways to work around that, especially because you got a busy schedule, you know.
Yeah. No, but sometimes it's busy. Sometimes I like when it's super quiet, and I know I'm leaving. Like I'm in the summer. I know I'm leaving for Whistler in a week. Then I have a nice week ahead of me of just every morning pushing as hard as I can at the gym, and then go play golf, go do some surfing on the behind a boat, go like
Yeah.
enjoy life. And I
Mhm.
don't, and I'm eating well, but like if it's summertime and all my friends are having fun, I'm gonna have a few drinks with them. You know what? For me, that's the important part of having a good balance, knowing
Yeah.
when it's time to be extremely serious and when it's time to be completely out of the sport and being like a normal human being,
Right. Yeah. Just having a few beers, having a few cocktails,
Yeah,
going out, enjoying yourself. Like it's you got to
exactly.
make sure that you definitely have that balance. That balance is key. So
Yeah.
all of these other great skiers, at least in our sport of I mean, what do you think is the main difference that would separate you from like a Sergey or a Yane or a Dale or a Bloom or Mayer? Because they've all had success at a very high level, right? They've all been world champions, gold medals,
Yeah.
multiple World Cup wins in a row. What do you think is that differentiator for you? Because they're not super close to 65 World Cup wins.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. For me, all these guys from Sergey to Yanni to all the guys that I've won are still inspiration to me today. They're, legend. And it's kind of hard to believe that I've been able to surpass what they have done. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm the kind of guy. I mean, it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say
Yeah.
it. It's a very good question. I think for me, like I've been very good at taking opportunities, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes with preparation and all of those things. But for me, I see every event like an opportunities, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an opportunity to do something great.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have just one opportunity left. I always tell that, I don't
Yeah.
take anything for granted. When I'm at the top of the course, I'm the last guy to drop in. It's for me, it's not like a bad stress. It's like exciting. I have the opportunity to do something great,
Mm-hmm.
and it might be the last one. So when this is over, and if you win, you got to learn from that win, because next weekend you might have an opportunity, but you might not get it. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to jump on it. And I think this mentality and the fact that, yeah, I think a bit of that way makes me super consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and I prepare well, and I'm not satisfied with one win. I'm very happy, but then the next week you got to do it again,
Mm-hmm.
and again and again. And I think I have in French we say Untitled. It's kind of like a competition. I'm let's say like that, maybe in English. I'm very competitive,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do everything to try to beat you. Even if you're whatever, someone is skiing better than me,
Mm-hmm.
I always try to prove myself that I'm the best, and I'm gonna do everything, and I'm not gonna let go of the pieces until I cross the line. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I love these moments. I love being the guy to beat, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the great athletes were very good under pressure and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they liked it being always back at the top. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, I just love that feeling of being, having the little, pressure on your shoulder,
Right. A
and
few butterflies
when
going.
butterflies, and when the media are saying, yeah, like going into the Olympic in 2018, like the media were saying like, if he doesn't win gold, it's bad or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, he's going to be a choker.
Right.
And I feed out of that. It's not fun, but the pressure on my shoulder is kind of like a drug. It's not fun, but it's kind of like a drug. Like in the summer, I miss having like to put everything on the line and having those opportunity to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if it answers very well your question, but I mean, I can compare because I never compete against those legends like
Sure.
Yanni and everything. But what they've done is amazing. They inspired me to the roof, and I'm grateful to have example like them.
Yeah, no, I think you answered it. I think you answered it quite well. So one of the things is kind of curious about is you're touching on, to go back, win the next day and everything else at the end of the night, like when you're done from competition, do you journal like after, or are you like writing down a few takeaways from the day, or it's kind of just you do all that preparation beforehand and you have that good to go? So kind of after, do you ever go back the night of, or is it usually later on, like as you said, looking at Kazakhstan and everything, and go look back at years before and kind of get an idea of what the course is going to be like and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, like I said, like I do all my things before the events,
right?
And after the events, first thing usually I do is I call my family, like everyone.
Do they get tired of you winning? Do they get tired of it? They're like, oh, great, he's got.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, every World Cup is so like I said, every World Cup is so different. Like for me, I never get tired of it. I'm sure everyone that would be in my position would never get tired of it. I mean, it's super special what I'm living, and I mean, yeah, it's amazing. But after every event, I have a mental trainer. I don't know if it's the right word. And
psych, mental
JF,
trainer.
yeah, exactly. And I've been working with him since 2014. And after every event, we call each other, FaceTime, super short, sometimes 15, 20 minutes. And we talk about the days, the day in general, talk about how I felt before every run, what could have been better, what happened during the day. And yeah, always trying to, we called each other very fast after singles in Deer Valley, and trying to work towards duels. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we've been changing a bit for the last two races, my approach in the start gate. So we always try to change some stuff to, keep improving. There's always one thing. I don't like if I win and like I go back to the next event going in the same kind of, not strategy, but the
routine,
like leaving everything there, like, okay, you won, good job, let's go on the next weekend and let's do it again. Like I like to, let's do it again, but let's add this and this and this and try to improve. And even sometimes I win and I did some stuff, I'm like, I didn't like that, I felt I was too tough, or I didn't like the way I did that, so I take this out, put this back in, and this is how you grow and you become a better athlete.
Sure. Now, what inspired you to get the sports psych in 2014, or had you had one before that?
No, I didn't have one. It's kind of funny because before I was like, my strength in the sport is my head. Like nothing affected me. And I was thinking like that. I was 21 years old. And I remember I met him after Sochi Olympics, and we had a small conversation, and he's like, you train at the gym? I'm like, yeah. Like, you train to get your legs stronger and quicker? I'm like, yeah. And you do that like what, 4 or 5 times a week? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, why not working on your brain? Like, I mean, you said you're good in your brain. I'm like, yeah. Why not working? I mean, your legs are strong. You keep working them to get stronger and stronger. Why not work your brain to get your brain stronger and better and learn? Because at first I thought working with a mental trainer was like, we're gonna dig in all this stuff that I'm bad at, and but it's the total opposite. We work on my strength and we add some stuff to get better. And yes, sometime I'm gonna talk about some of the little problems I have, and we're gonna just fix them and trying to get better and better and better. And yeah, this is how I worked. We start working together, and there's so many stuff that because of him I was able to handle. And yeah, I mean, in Sochi I was going last, and this is the first time in my life, like, I mean, qualification at the first Olympic, I was like, it's like a World Cup. And the first final, second final, and then last final, I I was nervous. It's like the first time my legs were shaking, and I was going last, and then the crowd was starting cheering like "Rah, see, yeah," because Michael was second at the time. I knew Mark, my teammate and good friend, was in third. Alex was leading. Then I'm going last, and I remember looking at the topper and the first few bumps. I'm like, I don't know how to get to the topper. I felt like I forgot how to do it, and my God, I was nervous. And then when I pushed out, then it just went back to normal. And I did a few mistakes because my legs was way too stiff to ski a super final run. But yeah, and from that, like I won a silver medal. That was amazing. But because of that experience, brought me a mental trainer, and then brought me so much experience that in 2018 it is so much different in the start gate. I was not going last, that's for sure, but second to last. But the mentality was the total opposite. Like I wanted to go. I was wanting to go so bad. I felt so good. So you have the two,
right? Yeah,
the two sides.
No, that's super interesting. It's good that you know, you're able to kind of work those things out. And I mean, what kind of speaking to, you know, obviously second is fantastic, silver, everything else. I mean, what are some of the disappointments in your storied career that you've really helped propel some of your success? I mean, is that kind of one of those moments like, hey, I feel like I wasn't, usually I'm always prepared for pretty much every situation. This is like one of the few times where I feel like I'm not prepared. I'm a little bit nervous. Obviously, you say, you know, your legs were a little stiff and everything else. Like, okay, now I need to go through and let's tackle this issue. I mean, are there any other times in your career where you've, you know, had some failures and you need to overcome those?
Yeah, well, the one I talked in Calgary was kind of like a game changer for sure. My first Olympics, that was not a failure, because for me, when just winning a medal was like winning gold. You know, like all these Olympic in Sochi, I felt like a kid at Walt Disney. You know, growing up and watching the Olympics, like it's been like something. Like in my family that we've been, you know, always everyone in the couch watching the Olympics. And then all of a sudden I have like all the Canadian gear on me, and, you know, everywhere you look around, there's Olympic gear, Olympic rings. And I didn't think that it was going to be that hard going last at the Olympic. And yeah, for sure, I learned a lot from that. That was not a failure, because that was like, like the opposite I felt, but I felt that I could have dealt better with the pressure. That would have helped my performance at that time. And yeah, for sure, that's another time where it isn't a failure, but I learned a lot. And that's the first thing when we chatted, that we start working together. And I remember that one of the first time I start working with JF, we put the image of my face in the start gate going in super final. You see in my mouth, my mouth is super dry, and I'm like, you see all the little, like I'm playing with everything that's possible around me. And you know, this is not like good sign. So we try to work on that. And yeah, I mean, there's other, you know, there's other stupid moment, like Lake Placid never been a place where I've performed. I've just been non-consistent in Lake Placid in my career. And there's a lot of stuff that I learned from that event. I remember one year I won qualies. I think I won the final one. I had everything I just had to go and put another run down. And I remember Brad skied like two guys before me, and he skied the course like faster than a second than everyone. And the only thing I was thinking going last was, I'm gonna go faster than you. But you know, it's like, and this is other thing that I learned is like, I love hearing what the others are doing, but you're not doing it to beat, you know, just 20% of the score of someone, you know. Like, so those are all the little things that for me, like I grew. Like, I mean, I didn't have much like like slump. How do you say that? Like a slump, like four races in a row where it didn't go well. That's because every time, even when I finish second, if I don't win, I have a mentality, and I call it bounce right back. And So every time I do something that I'm not 100% pleased or whatever, if I don't win, I always, say bounce right back, next race. And if you look at my stats, you rarely see second place. You're gonna see, if you see like a second place or whatever, sixth place or a result that is not first, check the result right after. And that's something that I'm very proud about, is every time there's something that I'm not happy with, the next day I bounce back. I remember just like last season, I finished second in China, and I was very happy with my skiing, but I was like, yeah, bounce right back. And the next day I won the duel. Then we went to Deer Valley. Ikuma won that beautiful run.
Yeah, it was a sick
run. And the next day I was like, bounce right back, Mick, bounce right back. Won the duel. And then we went to Kazakhstan. We went to Japan. I won Japan. Then the duel got canceled. We went to Japan. Me and Ikuma battle in final. He beat me. Bounced right back in Russia and won the duel, the last event. So I'm kind of like that. It took a lot of time to get to like that level of, it's not much athlete that can say like from a second place being super motivated to get back to the top spot. But I've been like that, and I'm happy any result that I have, but like I just love to come back and not to show everyone, but to prove to myself that yes, you're the best. When you really want it, you're the best guy out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you've proved it year after year. There's definitely no question, and you continue to make improvements in each and every area. One of the things, speaking through with a bunch of the other guests and everything that I've had on before, your preparation and kind of detail. It's definitely interesting to get that insight into, how you approach and how you attack your days, and constantly working through with that improvement. That's super awesome to hear, and it shows why you got all those globes back there. That's for sure.
No, I'm not going to be able to add one more this year. It's just not enough.
It was a little weird at Deer Valley seeing you not in like the yellow bib or like a 2 bib. You were like what, 35 or something, or 53 or
39.
I was like, whoa, yeah, take a picture of that. That's that'll be
I made him special. I think I'm gonna frame that one. I like the 39. Yeah.
39.
I mean, I've framed some like Olympic bibs and yellow bibs, but I mean, this one is kind of cool.
Do you hold on to a bunch of the bibs?
Yeah. I given away a lot, but like it's like, I mean, I'm still here, but it's probably right there. Like this one I haven't framed it yet, but yeah, I've of course I'm keeping it close. Like you gotta keep 39 and
39.
I still have this one. This one I'm waiting for my house to get built one day and put that one nice. But no, I keep all the good memory stuff. I mean
the good ones, those are good to I have before I got married, I had all of them. And then what I decided to do for the wedding was I had all my groomsmen, they had to wear my old ski bibs. So that was
nice.
That was the attire. They didn't have to wear a suit or anything. They just had to throw on an old bib. So there were some pretty funny ones in there.
That's very cool. And you proposed in Deer Valley also, huh?
Deer Valley, yeah. After the event there last year, So DV's always had a special place in the heart. Yeah, no, for sure.
Obviously,
yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely a cool spot for sure.
Yeah.
But another question I kind of had for you, I was just kind of curious, who are some of those people that really helped and kind of have influenced you during your career? Coaches or, you mom and dad usually are a lot, but are there some people that really kind of helped kind of feed that drive? Because a lot of it, obviously at the end of the day, in an individual sport like skiing and stuff like that, it's on you, but it is a whole team and a whole army that kind of helps you through. You do it on your own, but at the same time, you have a team there to kind of help you along the way.
Yeah, like you said, I have a kind of like an army behind me that's working to get me 100% in the start gate every time. I mean, all of these people, they know who they are if they're listening, and a lot of my teammates. But I'd say the number one has to be my brother, my older brother. I mean, growing up, we're pretty close in age. He's I'm 28, he's 30. we're 18 months different, and you know, we've been playing together since we're a little kid, and you know, you never really win against your older brother. He's bigger, taller, stronger. Used to play baseball, always threw harder than me. Played basketball outside, it's always a bit better than me. Played card, is always a bit ahead and a bit more smart when, you know, when we were kids. And I lost so many times that I learned at a young age, to win, you have to work harder. And yeah, I think he's the guy that made the most difference, because yeah, he showed me that winning isn't easy. And I mean, we're two very competitive guys and two kids growing up that the only thing we'd like to do is playing sports. It can be tennis or whatever the sport it is. So yeah, I think he like, he didn't know at the time, but like just the fact that every day I was losing, it made me want to win. And when I was sometime beating him, my God, I had to put everything on the table. You know, I had to try everything. And like, yeah. And I think that helped me grow in sport. And when I got into, like, you know, not NORAMs, but like Canadian junior events where I was competing against older guys,
right,
I feel I was able to deliver and to perform well, because I knew what I had to do to beat those older guys and stronger guys. And I think, yeah, I made a big difference in I'd say my career, but in my life. You know, it's there's not only mogul skiing, you know, that is important, but yeah, it teach me a lot of stuff. And yeah, it's super grateful for all those memories.
Yeah, there is something to, I mean, there's, you know, it's funny, talked about it in the past, but there's always something to those siblings, you know, the little sibling rivalries, or may not be rivalries, but they just always drive and push. And I mean, if you look at just a laundry list, there's always like the younger brother syndrome, where they always seem to have to outdo the, you know, older brother, get pushed by that older brother that kind of keeps them down for as long as possible. You know, see it in our sport alone, you know, skiing and everywhere, you know, there's always those brothers that, or sisters, that kind of push you along. And
no, but yeah, absolutely. Like, just you're saying that, and it reminds me like stuff that when I was a kid, you know, your older brother kind of like is the guy that opens the door and does like all this stuff, but then you're like 2 years younger, but when he does his thing for his first time, you're basically doing it just right away after him. You know, I remember skiing, if he was hitting that big jump, I mean, I was going to try it, because if my brother can do it, I can do it, you know. And it kind of went like that. And that's why, like, yeah, at a young age, I was like able to compete or to ski or to whatever. When we were doing races, I mean, my brother was super fast, but I was like, if I keep following him all the time, then I'll be fast too. And I was able to, you know, go fast around those gates and end up having better result that I would have had if I was probably the older brother, you know?
Yeah. No, kind of speaking to some of those younger brothers and younger sisters kind of out there that are going through some tough times, what would be like a few words of wisdom if you're kind of struggling, whether in skiing or in life, or think, you know, what kind of words would you have for them to kind of help them through some of those dark times?
Yeah, I mean, dark times, I mean, in mogul skiing, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's never easy when stuff are not going your way. I think for me, the most important part about sport in general is it's important, you know, to have good people around you and surround yourself with people that are similar to you or have the same goal as you. And for me, when stuff were not going well, I had very close, you know, teammates. And for me, that was the most important part is, you know, one day your teammate is winning and you have a bad day, and you have to be there for him to celebrate, because, you know, you need to stick together. This, like, friendship is bigger than everything in the world, I think. And for me, yeah, hard times, stick close to your friends, your family. It's important for sure. Like people say, you know, you have to be the hardest worker. You have to, you have to take care of whatever you're doing. But I mean, if you're doing that with friends, it's always easier. So I'd say like, yeah, I think it's important to surround yourself with great
Surround
people.
yourself with good people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think
like for me, the hardest time that I've had in sport or in general, it was always nice to have a guy like Phil, Mark, and also all my teammates that I have now today. Like, there's stuff sometimes happen. When I broke my back, I mean, it was not fun times, but I mean, my teammates were great off the bat. Talking to me, say, yeah, you'll be back. We all know you'll be back, and you'll probably be better than you were right now. So it's always nice to have like people that you can chat with and say the real stuff. With the coaches, yes, but like with the teammates, there's no one living this, as close as you, the same experience. And I think sticking with teammates, friends, family is important.
No, and they, those teammates almost become like family too, because I mean, you spend your time, you're traveling the world together, you're going to all these cool, unique places, whether you're going to training camps in Zermatt or Australia or wherever else. And such an interesting dynamic because you're a team, but you're all doing individual, it's an individual sport. So you're trying to beat, you're trying to beat your roommates and your teammates and stuff like that. It just creates such an interesting dynamic. But some of those friendships and everything, I mean, they really do last forever. And those memories you create.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome. Like all the stories. If I like me and Phil Marquis, we room so many World Cups together, and we finished 1 and 2 rooming in the same room, and that's super special. Those memories are amazing. And there's some days that one of us was not doing so well, or some days that we're like in super close competition.
Yep.
But what's cool is like we're sleeping right before the event, and we're all telling like our little, not secrets, but our little tips on what to do. And you should drift a bit more right. And we try to feed to each other. And there's time that we're like, when we compete, like no more friends when we're on the hill, but then as soon as we cross the line, then we're good friends, and that's cool. And I remember Phil Marquis, we did a Europa Cup in Sochi in 2013, and we're qualified like 1 and 2. And Phil skis before me, and we're in the same line. And there's like a big snowstorm, and there was like a big chunk of ice from the chop on like the fourth bump after the top air. And Phil, one of his ski like kind of hit the big chunk of ice and made him pull out of the course. And the first thing he did, and that was like amazing, is he went straight to the walkie-talkie, and he's like, to Rob Colbert back then, that was a coach, and he was like, tell Mick that on the fourth bump there's a huge chunk, and it's right in the middle where you want to go. And I remember like Rob's like, yeah, Phil just tells you be careful on the fourth bump. And like he could have kept that to him and be like, ha, 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 good luck, there's something in the way. And he told me, and I just like skied, and I saw it very well. It was like big and right where I wanted to go, and I just went higher and then kept skiing and end up winning the event. But like this is why a friendship with your teammates are so important, because you can help each other and feed each other to reach higher and higher levels.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good bond. It's definitely a fun bond for sure. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to do this. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the charity we're going to be donating to today.
Yeah. $250.
$250. Yep, we're donating $250.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's called Breakfast Club in Canada, and in French it's Club des Petits Déjeuners. I'm giving away $500 every race I win from my prize money to this charity. This charity is a charity that helps kids that are going to school to have breakfast at school in the morning. There's so many kids right now in Canada that are going to school, and their family, they don't provide them breakfast, and they start their day with an empty stomach, and they have to do sports, and they have to focus at school. And for me, I think breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It gives you energy throughout the day. So for me, it was very important to to be able to give money from them. I know that it cost them only $3 or $1 by kids. So with your donation, you're helping out probably 200 something kids, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And there's also other companies that every time that I win, they give away the same amount of money. So just with last weekend, we raised well over $2,000, which is maybe not much, but kind of a lot for them.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of breakfast. And yeah, I'm very happy that you're helping also.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Happy to do it. Yeah, well, thank you very much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward, like I said, we're gonna have to compare some video notes and geek out, because I got old result sheets. I got boxes of old result sheets, so we'll have to go through and break down some turn scores.
Okay.
And
but next time I come, where do you live right now?
So I'm in Park City, Kimball Junction. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Next time I come, I'll try to, with no COVID and everything. Hopefully I can
nice.
come, and I have a lot of VHS that my dad was recording from CBC Sport back in the days, events from TV coverage.
Perfect.
Yeah, and many videos that I've got along the way that I've stole from coaches and athletes.
One thing I wanted to ask you before we get off: what is your favorite run of you skiing? Do you have a favorite that you go back and look at? Because we talked about Janne.
I have some training runs that are bloody amazing. Racing. Well, technically it's not my best, but I mean the Olympics it was pretty cool. I mean, I was doing mistakes every round. I was doing little stuff, and then super final is no major mistakes. But it's not my favorite, but the feeling of that one was cool. I love most of my runs in Ruka. I think are sick.
Yeah.
Just because they're fast. They're always one of the fastest or second fastest.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually have full DD, double full 10. Favorite one, the Calgary one for the Calgary event in 2018 before the Olympics. That run was pretty good, I think. I don't know. There's a few ones. There's also some I've done. I have some qualification runs that are very, very good, technically. So it depends. I don't know. My favorite one, it's hard to tell. I think my favorite moment is, and I don't have the video because I remember Team Canada, our video didn't work well, but if you can find my duel against Gilbo when I was 18 at the World Championship. In 2011 in Deer Valley. That run was not awesome skiing, but just that was I beat the world champion from the day before. And I thought that duel was pretty amazing because back then I wasn't doing the suck up backflip. I was doing whatever all out cork 7 on the bottom. And that run I did a cork 7 but to the moon. I mean, Gilbo is 2 feet under me, 2-3 feet under me. I'm just in the sky, and my back full was actually I landed on the backside of the first turn. Anyway, that run I would like to see, but
I'll try and see if I can dig that one up.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Hey everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're watching or listening on YouTube, please make sure you hit that bell button so you get notified every time a new episode drops. Thanks.